Okay, you're good to go.
All right, well, we are holding the mayor-manager meeting. It's March 18th, 2020. We have a number of people from the city clerk's office, myself, the city manager, Mayor Pro Tem Sierra, and Mayor Olson. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got...
Shawn, this is Allison. I'm also on the call.
Thank you, Allison. So what we talked about just a few minutes ago, Othaniel and Linda, is that, during our directors meeting, we talked about what you and I, the three of us talked about yesterday with regard to moving those items that were on the March 16th to a regular session or special meeting, perhaps, on March 23rd. So right now, as it stands, unless you guys direct otherwise, we're going to have a pretty beefy agenda on March 23rd. What are your thoughts on that?
So we're talking about it being virtual, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just got off the phone with the Metro Mayor's Caucus. There are probably about maybe a dozen of mayors on there, and I was just checking out what other cities are doing, and it was great to hear that everyone has moved to a virtual and Teams possibility, and all they're doing, and they're trying to limit what we're, same thing we're doing with anything that needs public, like any quasi-judicial decisions are being moved further or being removed. And we don't have anything like that. We don't have hearings coming, I don't think, do we?
Allison, I would get you to weigh in, but the
No,
some of the first readings, they would not need anything?
No, when quasi-judicial would just, for this particular city council, just means matters coming out of planning and zoning, and I'm not aware of anything coming before the council in the near future.
Yeah, the only thing close would be the findings of fact for the Pennsylvania, but you've actually already had the public hearing. This is just ratifying the facts that you already have agreed upon. So
right. Yeah, so some of the councils are actually doing a mixture of some people on site. I don't know why they're doing that, but I think it's because they feel like they want to be together, and others are at home. So they've had a combination, and some of them have found some IT platforms that allow for public comment time, and they've limited that in order to get things done.
Gotcha.
Weighing in on that, Margaret Brocklander will be at some point providing all of us an update, but she and I have been going back and forth because I've been so concerned about meeting the legal requirements of maintaining connection with the public. And she gave a report again this morning that she thinks she has a way to allow the public to listen to the meetings and participate in a question answer session. So she's still working on that with her team and doing amazing things. But I think while we won't need that for tonight's meeting, moving forward, the virtual meetings will absolutely cover all of the needs for the public to be involved. So kudos to Shawn and his staff. I'm just thrilled.
I am too. I'm very, very pleased with what you're all doing. We're not ahead of everybody, but I feel like we're in a really good place and perhaps have done things a bit quicker, even though we've been hampered by the style of weakness of mayor and council needing to weigh in. But it seems like it's been a very measured, and we've moved along well. I'm very pleased. Louisville does have some platform they're using with public input. I'm sure Margaret's figured one out, but if she's just curious, they seem to have found one, I think. So.
Great. Yeah, that type of information is helpful. So if you hear from other cities, I actually have asked Krista to start monitoring, news and maybe expanding that out to the actions of other cities to just make sure we're all up to date with the latest and greatest. One thing, going back to the agenda for March 23rd, is that if you did want to reduce kind of the scale and scope, which is going to be pretty lengthy, we could split those study session items, take 3 of those off and move them to the April 6th, which right now we only have 2 items on April 6th. Or we could move all the study session items for March 23rd to the April 6th study session. Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, did you send us the current one yesterday?
Oh,
I'm still working.
I think so, but I can send it to you right now.
I was going to ask because there's one on the invite, so I'm looking at that. I'm just trying to make.
Okay. You sent it,
I'll
Jade?
send it.
Yes, I resent one this morning before the meeting started.
I've been in Zooms all morning. I haven't looked at a thing. Sorry.
Here,
No,
I'll just re-forward it really quickly.
I just did, Jade. You're good.
Oh, okay.
I have too many screens open for work and for Metro Mayors, and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And
All
you may
right.
notice that we added on to April 6th, the Citizen of the Year discussion. That happens at the study session, or at least it has in the past. So I just had Jade add that this morning.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Sorry, this is Krista.
Oh, hey, Krista, I didn't even know you were on the line. Awesome. I'm sorry, I'm
you
not
hear that?
using Teams because of my microphone problem, so I'm not looking at who's on. That's probably the
Okay.
problem.
Do you want me to read off who's on?
Yes, thank you.
Linda Olson, Allison McKinney-Brown, Krista Gravy, Jade Truscott Reed, Margaret Brocklander's on, Othaniel Sierra, Stephanie Carlisle, and then your cell number and some other 303-762 number.
That's Othaniel's cell phone.
Oh, you're showing
Great.
up both ways. Okay.
And
Yeah,
mine's actually,
I'm
I'm on my office phone, just, yeah. Okay, so would that be okay then? Would you like to move the March 23rd study sessions items to April 6th so that we're really just focusing on the March 16th regular items during the March 23rd meeting?
That makes sense to me if you need to keep things moving.
I think all the things that are on your March 23rd study session, none are time sensitive except for the financial review. I would like to leave that one on when we add all the March 16th items to March 23rd. Jade, does that make sense?
Yes. So I have all the regular items and then no study session items except for the financial review.
Right, and all March 23rd study session items will move to the April 6th meeting.
Yes.
Great.
The board and commission interviews and the joint study session are on hold indefinitely, correct?
That was my understanding from Othaniel and Linda yesterday,
Perfect.
right?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that? I have a meeting that's trying to change it because of this one being later.
Sorry, I understand. We're going to move the board and commission interviews and joint session with planning and zoning indefinitely.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
And then the financial review that's happening now on the 6th may have, it might be expanded based on our directors meeting, correct, Shawn?
Yes, I'm going to ask, I think I mentioned this to you all during the last mayor manager, but I have asked Maria to give some in-depth information about what we're anticipating in kind of a worst case scenario should we stay closed longer than a month with our retail outlets, et cetera. And so she's prepared to do that. The other thing that I'm going to add to your agenda that's not currently there is an economic development policy change. As you know, we have a number of grant programs for business startup, for facades, for downtown, business improvement grants. I am going to be authorizing modifications to the criteria for those to include COVID-19 response. So maybe, this would allow locally owned businesses, non-chains, and businesses that were directly affected by closure requirements, that those would qualify for grants that would, might help them pay rent or payroll. We're going to be recommending $1,000 because we have $50,000 to reallocate to this program. I know in talking to Councilmember Wink yesterday, she said, I think those should be minimum $2,000. So we'll kind of let you discuss what dollar amount, but administratively, I think I can change those criteria, but I want to get council's kind of feel for this before I move forward with this.
I think that's wise. I don't want to go with just one council member's, I would love to give more, of course, but let's figure this out. We also are working on what the SBA is going to do. I don't know if the federal funds are going to get to the states as quickly as we'd want, but we've got to do some things in the meantime.
Right. Okay. All right. So we're really moving now to the April 6th meeting, which we have a budget. All of the items that we've moved from March 23rd now move to April 6th. And so we'll have the budget discussion, downtown matters, DDA update, body piercing, off-leash dog park, grants for career training and apprenticeship, charter review discussion, Title 16 discussion. So that's what's slated for April 6th. On the April 6th, kind of the regular session portion, if we still want to keep this format, we have a contract for professional services with the AEC West, and that's for outside plan review. We have a contract for approval of water treatment plant risk and resiliency study. Good timing on that. We also have the Museum of Outdoor Arts contract renewal. I would update you all that we met with Tatum yesterday, Dorothy and I did. And we've got the contract that we should have it ready by April 6th to come back to you. They've complied with everything that you all directed us to add to that contract. On consent, we have approval of annual roadway materials, second IGA amendment between Arapahoe County 911 and the city.
Oh, never mind. Yep.
Next, so can I get a little bit of clarification? So I think I'm a little bit confused here. So we're moving the items from March 23rd, everything but the financial review, to the April 6th study session?
Yes.
But so then we have a regular meeting after that as well?
Yes.
Are we going to use the March 30th Monday? Right now it's a fifth Monday. Does it make sense for us to use it to put some of those items on the March 30th Monday, the fifth Monday? Obviously, because now we're the study session is only supposed to be an hour long on the 6th before we move to our regular studies or to our regular council meeting. So it just seems like a lot of items for April 6th.
It does. Oh, Daniel, that's really a smart idea. I mean, nobody can go anywhere on the 30th now anyway. I was supposed to be out of the country, but we're not going, obviously.
Right.
So I think that's a great idea as well. Staff, do you have any concerns about that? Just holding a special meeting on March 30th to basically, which we have all those study session items that we were talking about on March 30th, and then just have all the regular session items from April 6th that will be on April 6th.
Shawn, however you need to organize things to make them work, I can absolutely support. I don't have any issues. I do think, though, we need to make it clear that from as long as we're doing online meetings, that we're labeling them all special meetings, so that everybody knows that we're not breaking these down into study session and regular meetings. I'm not sure that our platform can support all of those differentiations anyway, but that we're running special meetings and these are the agenda items. And that's something Stephanie and I are working on. But as we continue this discussion, when you talk about a 1 hour study session and a 2 hour regular meeting, it may not work that way just because of the platform that we're using. So we'll be sure and post that this is the agenda, but we'll be posting a single agenda for the special meeting.
I think that's wise. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, any thoughts or comments?
No, I think that sounds wise. I would like council to weigh in on doing the 30th, though. Make sure that
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you then want to just do that? We can send an email today to say that's going to be asked of council on March 23rd. Is that okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Stephanie, can you take care of that, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to April 13th. We just have 2 items on what's now a study session, water and sanitary sewer master plan, which will be a pretty beefy discussion, and then pavement management program and 2020 pavement maintenance project overview, which should be a little less weighty, but still, you know, probably at least a 30-minute to 45-minute discussion. As of now, we have no items on April 20th study session, but we do have on the regular session. By the way, we're cutting all recognition. I may, maybe we could reserve a spot on there for if someone we feel like is really going above and beyond on the COVID response, and if council wants to call that out, I think I'll have some people that I might want to start the meeting with to call out, but I could certainly do that during my report, and you could do it during yours. So right now we're thinking just cut all recognition, proclamations, and that sort of thing from the agendas. So on the regular agenda for April 20th, we have lodgers tax and first reading of an approval subgrantee agreement with Arapahoe County for CDBG dollars.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then we're down to April 27th. We'll have a financial review, DDA update, preliminary review of major capital projects. You know, we are going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. I was realizing that we will not be having planning and zoning or water and sewer board. So for your CIP planning, you guys might see that potentially before those boards and commissions see them, but we can certainly, you know, send the information to them, maybe even ask them for individual feedback unless that violates open meetings law, Allison. So yeah, we'd like your thoughts on that.
Sorry, I'm having to mute and unmute, and it takes me a second to get to that button, but I am listening carefully to the meeting. So no, I don't think you're doing anything that at this point that concerns me that you're violating open meetings law. As we move forward, though, one of the things Stephanie and I are working closely together on is we're having to monitor everything that you guys are needing to do and look for all potential pitfalls and make sure that we're not going to have any of those kinds of violations. So if we run into a problem that she and I cannot think our way around to make sure that the public is adequately notified and included, we'll bring that to your attention. But right at the moment, I think that we can make all this workable.
Great, yeah, and specifically, you know, if we're not asking planning and zoning or water and sewer board to vote on something, but if we're sending them the CIP and saying, you know, give us your individual feedback, you don't see a problem with that?
No, they are not making any kind of binding decisions. And you're not asking them to make a binding decision at this point. So
great.
I don't know. I think that there are ways to do this that will make sure that we are in conformance with the law.
Well, you know, the other thing is, Mayor Pro Tem, is we could move, you know, meetings that may be necessary to virtual meetings similar to what you all have done. I don't know that we have a prohibition on that that we would need to take action on, but like Planning Commission, we could move them to that.
I would be in favor of that. Go ahead, Linda.
I'd let the attorney weigh in on that. I think in the past we've said they can't make decisions electronically, so maybe we were just being overly cautious, but let's make sure we can. I don't mind moving it to that.
We're going to have a different kind of issue with the Planning Commission than we would have even with the City Council, and that is not most, but many of the decisions the Planning Commission makes are by their very nature quasi-judicial, and as the mayor stated earlier, quasi-judicial decisions do not lend themselves to an electronic platform at this point, not based on the technology that we all currently have. Secondly, even if we're not to the point where it is a quasi-judicial decision, a lot of their decision is based on looking at plans and getting information that may not be able to be conveyed to them either electronically or in documents outside of a public meeting. So before we discuss moving planning and zoning to an electronic format, I really think that I'm going to have to sit down with the Community Development Department and talk about the issues there.
And I can clarify, I was specifically talking about an electronic meeting for the CIP. So I don't think that one would be quasi-judicial, but I totally agree with you. I don't think there would be a way to do it for things like a zone change, et cetera. But I will mention that, you know, that development activity particularly on the residential side, has dropped dramatically in the last 2 weeks.
Shawn, I apologize. I missed that part of your statement. And as
I
far
don't think I made it, so it's my fault.
so as far as calling them together for an electronic meeting regarding CIP, there is no issue. And also remember that in the new Boards and Commissions handbook, all boards and commissions are required to follow the meeting procedures of the city council. So when you guys adopted this method of messaging and per that, I think that and I double check everything 5 times, but I would think that they have the same ability to participate in an electronic meeting as the city council would. And so I think you can do the CIP. It's just we're jumping through so many hoops, and the concern again is always we don't want to set things up so that the public is at all excluded from these conversations.
Great.
Well, Nathaniel,
Right.
did you want to say something?
No, I haven't put you on mute, but no additional comments.
All right. Well, the only other item that we haven't talked about that's on this is May 4th, and that's just a pre-development agreement with SKB, which is our development company for city center downtown stuff. So, any questions or comments?
So I'm just wondering, the conversation I had today with the Metro mayors was really helpful. I have another one with Mayor Hancock at 2 this afternoon. And then the Metro Mayor's Caucus is going to set up a weekly meeting so that we're all on the same page with at least understanding what each other is choosing to do. I think when Denver rolled out, the bars and restaurants closed and clamped down really quick, it had a knee-jerk reaction around the city of a number of things we want to try and coordinate better together. I'm wondering, Shawn, on your end, what's happening? And so I have a number of things like this, and I'm not sure whether this meeting now is okay to talk about it or whether we should have a conversation going through. I've got like lots of notes from my meeting just that I got off of.
When you say what's going on, and what do you mean?
Managers talking, are you guys sharing decisions that we're making one jurisdiction next to another and how it impacts?
I'm doing that mainly with the Arapahoe County managers, and so we do have an email list that we are keeping each other up to date. And then, of course, just my contacts in Louisville, Boulder, and Longmont. Certainly, I've been keeping in touch with them pretty closely. So.
Okay, just that's great to know. Nobody seems to know what the counties are doing.
Well, we're actually, I think, in better shape than Boulder County, from what I'm hearing from my colleagues up north. But I mean, in terms of Arapahoe County, we actually are probably going to go to the EOC today, Chris Hargeth and myself. To the Arapahoe County EOC and get briefed on some of their continued work. You know, we have meetings with them on a daily basis on most days. So.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that's the kind of information people want to know that's happening. I think, most of the mayors are weak mayors, and we're being asked questions we don't know the answers to. And we've had great communication, you and I, Shawn, but they raised things today that I don't know the answers to.
Well, and as I mentioned last night after the council meeting, I'm going to send you, I actually just moved my 11 o'clock to 11:30, so I can send you a list of all the things that we're doing so that you can go into those meetings with your colleagues, with information on hand of what we're doing. So.
And then, Shawn, I also wanted to jump in just real quick. John and I had a phone conversation this morning with David Carroll from the Chamber. Just asking for any type of input that he's hearing from small businesses within Inglewood. And so he's provided us wealth of information, and he's going to continue to communicate and ask them to communicate directly with John and I. In terms of just the conversation we had with Congresswoman DeGette yesterday in terms of what we're hearing from small businesses. So that's basically the scope of the discussion, but I plan on discussing more with David in the future. So.
That's awesome, Nathaniel. If you have anything in writing on that, you could send to Darren, our economic development manager. That will really help him tailor the guideline changes that we're proposing to our grant programs it could help on a number of levels if we all kind of keep each other informed of that. But I love that y'all are doing that.
I'll do that, and I'll make sure to copy David on my response to Darren. So just in case he could add any color to it.
Awesome. All right. Anything else?
Do you want me to go through this list at all, or do you want me to do it with you, Shawn?
Oh, sure. I mean, either way, I'm fine either way.
Well, does everybody else want to hear it, or do you want?
Well, Linda, I actually have a call at 11, so I'm going to jump off here in 3 minutes.
Okay, why don't I just go over it with you, Shawn, and maybe Allison?
Okay.
There are some legal stuff at some point, and then maybe this information might be stuff that others are interested in. We can put out in your packet. Some of it you
Yeah,
already.
that sounds excellent. Do you want to go ahead and adjourn the mayor manager meeting then?
Sure. This mayor manager meeting is adjourned. What time is it?
All right.
10:57.
Yes. Perfect.